You know that horrible mix of fear and panic you get before speaking? Like your heart is racing, your stomach is flipping, and your brain just says, nope, not today. That was me every single time I even thought about speaking English in front of people. And the worst part? It didn't matter if it was just 2 people or a whole class, it always felt like I was about to be eaten alive. Welcome to my video of how to speak confidently. Episode 2. Today I will explain to you a roadmap of how I started to learn English and what I went through, so let's get started. The first time I actually spoke English in front of people, wow, I can still feel it. It was just my small class. All we had to do was introduce ourselves and say our hobbies. Sounds easy, right? Well, my hands were shaking so much I thought I'd drop my paper. My voice, it came out so tiny, like I was whispering to a mouse. I could feel my face heating up, like I'd turned into a tomato. Inside, I just wanted to vanish into thin air. In my head, it was a complete disaster. That day hit me hard. I knew I couldn't keep living like that, so I started the easiest way I could, in my room, alone, talking to my mirror. I'd pretend the mirror was a big audience. Sometimes I imagined it was a famous talk show host waiting for me to answer questions. I talked about anything, my day, what I ate, a book I read, sometimes I even just picked up objects and described them. This is a blue pen. I use it for writing notes. I know it sounds silly, but in the mirror, no one laughed. I could mess up, start over, even try the same sentence 20 times until it sounded right. After some weeks of that, I realized the mirror wasn't enough. It wasn't real people. So, I went to my friend Marie, she's one of the kindest people I know, and I told her, Marie, please don't laugh if I make mistakes, but can I practice speaking English with you? She smiled and said yes. We started with small chats, little stories, random topics. She never judged, never laughed. If I messed up badly, she'd gently tell me the correct word. Honestly, that felt like a huge win for me, having one real person listen without making me feel stupid. And if you're like me back then and you don't really have friends to practice with, there's still another way: talk to online strangers. You can use voice chat apps or language exchange websites where you speak to people you don't personally know. It's easier sometimes because there's low emotional pressure, and you don't have to see them in real life. From there, I pushed myself a bit more. I joined a small English conversation group at school, maybe 5 or 6 people, all learners like me. I still got nervous. My heart still pounded, but at least now my hands didn't shake like before. We talked about movies, news, weekend plans. It was less like a speech and more like normal conversation. That change made me feel like, okay, maybe I can do this. And let me be clear about the timeline. This was not a 3-day plan. It took me almost a year. First, I had to face the fear, then I slowly built confidence. I made it part of my routine, 1 hour a day, sometimes 2, most days. The only real difference was that I stayed consistent. Some days I didn't want to meet anyone or socialize, so I didn't. On those days I still did something small. I read kids' stories because the grammar was simple and light. I didn't use heavy books. I didn't try to learn 50 phrases at once. I took one phrase and broke it down word by word, where to use it, how to change it, how it sounds in real life. That slow work helped more than anything. Step by step, I started facing bigger groups. I spoke louder in class, I answered questions without hiding, and I even volunteered for short presentations. Later, I helped at a community event where I had to speak English with visitors. Every time, I still felt nervous, but it got smaller. It went from a giant rock in my stomach to a small knot. I wasn't perfect, I still forgot words, still stumbled, but I was speaking. And I'm not saying you have to start speaking in front of big audiences right away. Just focus on making yourself better and don't think what's gonna happen. Keep that as your last step. I only did it when I had prepared myself enough and felt confident. But even then, in that first moment, you'll still feel it, that thought of, why am I here? That's when you need to focus on your purpose, think about what you'll gain from this, remind yourself why you started. Ignore the anxiety, and don't try to completely erase it. It's part of the process, and it means you care. I also stopped trying to sound clever. I kept a few starter lines ready, like, let me explain it in a simple way, or, I'll answer in 3 quick points. When my brain went blank, I repeated the question out loud to buy time, or I said, I'm thinking, and took a breath. Most people were fine with that. After each talk, I wrote 1 win and 1 fix for next time. No drama, just a note. One of the biggest things that helped was learning to make safe mistakes. Like the time I wanted to say slippery floor, but I said sleepy floor instead. People looked at me funny for a second, I realized it, laughed, and said, oh no, not sleepy, slippery. Everyone laughed with me. Another time I mixed up dessert and desert. I just stopped, made a silly face, and fixed it. Those moments showed me that people don't actually want you to fail, most of them are happy you're trying. Looking back, I've come a long way from that shaky-voiced kid in the classroom. The truth is, confidence isn't a magic trick. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel brave. It grows slowly, step by step, like climbing stairs. You start with 1 step, then another, and before you know it, you're standing way higher than you thought you could. And that's it for today's lesson. Remember, fluency isn't just about knowing the words. It's about knowing how to keep the conversation moving, even when you're not sure what to say next. Okay then. See you in episode 3.